Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And with this one, I'm going to be covering the melee DPS for Dragonflight. What is most exciting me? What is looking like the most fun? What is looking like I gotta get my hands on this specialization sooner than later? And what are maybe some specs that could maybe put them off to the side and leave them until a little bit later. Now, I know a lot of creators are pumping out tier lists based on the competitive viability of all of the specializations, trying to make their predictions so that we can all be going for the most meta options. This is not that type of tier list. I do have those types of tier lists if you would like to check them out. This is much more focused around the fantasy, the play style, the way that it feels while you're on it, like all the new exciting things that are coming towards this spec that I really want to check out regardless of balance, because balance is something that is ongoing and fluctuating and changing. So I would imagine, maybe a spec's not super meta at the start, but eventually it will. And if you didn't know about how fun it was, maybe you would have never even thought to try it in the first place. So you could be ahead of the curve in that regard. And now do note, fun is subjective. So for me, what's really important in a class is that I can expand on it. I'm not immediately limited by its skill ceiling. I'm going to have room to grow and get better at it. I do like feel though. Am I vibing on the spec? Does it have a good rotation? Is it fluid? Or am I like finding a lot of disjointment where like I'm not able to press an ability, or maybe there's too many abilities to press? This type of deal is something that's really important to me, as well as just new stuff. I am somebody who likes new stuff. I don't know if you're somebody who likes new stuff, but I really like new stuff. So if a class doesn't have a ton of new stuff, I'm not really going to be as excited for it. And it's important to know what classes are getting a lot of new stuff, for me at least, for picking like what I'm going to main. We've got this 2-week period of time now leading up into Dragonflight to start getting our characters ready to go, max level, geared up, and getting on our way to 70 to see what's up with these classes. So let's get started. Arms Warrior. Now, this is a specialization that is getting a huge concoction of previously existing talents, and it has a lot of fun abilities that have been put together. Things like Unhinged with the Blade Storm proccing Mortal Strikes, which synergizes so nicely with talents like the Elysian Spear in the normal warrior talents, as well as getting a bunch of mobility and self-healing and sustain. I'm very excited to try it. It's got bleed builds with Rend. I'm really hoping to see a Rend build come back for Arms Warrior, because one of my most favorite expansions to play was actually Warlords of Draenor Arms, with Rend doing so much damage. So I am hoping that the tuning hits this specialization so that it's in a good spot, because I feel like Arms Warrior is honestly a really fun spec. Tons of utility, tons of mobility, can be all over the battlefield, feels really good, has a lot of different customizations assuming that the tuning is hit. This is a really fun spec, so I definitely want to be checking out this one at some point in the expansion. And I know maybe in PvE it's performing phenomenally at the moment, but in PvP it's not performing that good. But maybe with tuning coming through, this is going to be a really fun one if they hit it right in terms of the numbers. Assassination Rogue. I've never really been a fan of Assassination Rogue. It's a very kind of like tunnel visioned, get your bleeds up, get your poisons on a target, try and burst it down as possible. Fan of Knives exploding AoE. Very straightforward. It has never really felt like the rogue spec that has like an expanding ceiling in terms of what you can do with it. It feels much more straightforward out of all of the rogue specs, so that limits it for me. I feel like they just reskinned Vendetta as Deathmark, and it's like kind of the same thing. I haven't noticed a lot of new stuff. You can get Shadow Dance in the Rogue tree, but I've been trying to make Shadow Dance work on the beta with a lot of classes, and it just seems like it's pretty tough to do. And then the Subtlety is kind of like out of the way, and there's a lot of other core talents you've got to go for. So honestly, I'm not super stoked to check out Assassination Rogue at the moment. Just not really catching my attention. It doesn't have high enough skill ceiling. I haven't really seen a lot of like new, just like, oh my god, it's grabbing my attention, I need to play this spec, other than maybe like, oh, it does a lot of burst damage, but it's like, there's so many classes that do that. You got to be a little bit more than just a lot of burst damage to catch my attention in terms of fun. Now, Enhancement Shaman, this one looks like a lot of fun with a lot of different ways to customize your character around Lava Lash, around Storm Strike, around proccing Ascendances, around building up 10-stack Maelstrom Elemental Blasts with huge slew of talents over on the left side of the talent trees if you want to focus towards mobility or totem resetting or healing your teammates, or more crowd control and utility with Thunderstorm and Lightning Lasso. Enhancement Shaman like moving from Shadowlands into Dragonflight, I'm really actually very much excited to try this spec at some point. And remember, this is the most fun list, right? These are specs like I want to check out regardless of balance, just because of the tools and the way the talents are laid out. So I do hope eventually, if Enhanced doesn't end up being super competitively viable, it does at some point, because it's a spec that's really fun at the moment. Feral Druid, I feel like they did a really good job with Feral Druid transitioning it into a bleed spec. I've been watching a lot of it, and Feral Druid is honestly a spec that I usually have the least amount of interest to play, and I don't know why. I feel like that's probably just an internal bias or something, but the Primal Wrath build with how much cleave damage and sustain pressure I've been seeing this spec go out, it looks like a lot of fun, a really good time, some new stuff to explore with all of the different talent combinations as well. So I'm going to rank it higher, but maybe not S, and I don't know if this is just my own personal bias towards it. I don't know if I've got a vendetta against it, because as a Moonkin and a Resto Druid player, these Feral Druids have been attacking me all the time, but it's definitely got my attention more than it has in the past to check out. So it's definitely ranking higher at the moment, but I think I'd probably rather get to some other specs first. Frost Death Knight. This specialization, unfortunately, in my opinion, is not benefiting as much as Unholy is. It feels like Unholy is getting all your cool stuff, and like you just gotta like accept it, like it's like I guess they get all this. I don't get anything from them. They're taking all my stuff, but I'm not really gonna get anything super exciting from them. So it's still kind of more or less the same expectation for Frost. The Chill Streak build still looks really fun. A lot of cleave, a lot of burst damage, chunky obliterates, assuming that they hit the right tuning again on this specialization for those talents and those builds. I think as a Frost Death Knight player, it's going to be what you expect it to be, but I'm honestly not really super excited to try Frost Death Knight at the moment, just because it looks like more of the same, and Unholy got to benefit more from the restructuring of the talent trees, in my opinion. You're getting some defense from the blood talent trees, but offensively, I think it's kind of more of the same at the moment. You got some kind of like little kind of like coupling gimmicks, like you can summon in a little baby frost worm and stuff like that with some talents and like visually, but feel and playstyle wise, and then skill ceiling for me. Now, I mean, maybe the Breath of Synergosa builds or something like that are really complicated, but the builds that I would probably be going for, they're probably going to inhibit my own expanse on the spec a bit. So it's coming down a little bit lower in terms of fun for me. Fury Warrior, this specialization, it has some options. I really love that Odin's Fury was brought back, this super fun ability for Fury from Legion that made me like it. It's a lot more straightforward, at least in single target to me, than Arms. A lot more button bashy. It has a bleed build, but it's much more cooldown dependent around Dragon's Roar and Odin's Fury, and then you're not really like sustaining those bleeds at any point. And then if you're running Annihilator, it really becomes oversimplified. I feel like Fury Warrior, for me at least, is a little bit more of just like it feels good. Like it's a feels good spec. You're going to be just cleaving and AoEing and blasting people, but it's not like super engaging to me at least. So it's probably like middle. I probably want to get to it at some point, because eventually, that feels good vibing, kind of chilling out and just going at people can be fun. But I'm not like super eager to make a Fury Warrior right away, although maybe I am for Odin's Fury. It really is. Odin's Fury really going to be the the one thing that makes me want to play Fury Warrior right away? It possibly could be. Like, Odin's Fury is really cool. Havoc Demon Hunter. Oh man, this spec is just crazy in all sorts of capacities, and you're getting an expansive new crowd control. You're getting Bloodlet back, which is really fun from Legion with Soul Rending. You're getting all of the amazing covenants at the same time with Fodder to the Flame and with the hunts. Like, you've got so many different fun combinations. You do so much damage. This spec is insane. Like, it's crazy. Like, maybe the skill ceiling isn't as high, but because of all the sick combinations and stuff, I feel like you have to at some point. I feel like you've got to at some point. Like, I don't know, maybe put it like somewhere here, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is biased. Maybe if it wasn't performing as well, maybe I wouldn't be putting it up here, would I? No, I'd still probably be putting it up here, because it's got so much new stuff that it hasn't had before. So many more keybinds that it hasn't had before that I really want to try, and different talent builds that seem to be pretty well tuned comparatively to a lot of other specs. So a lot of things to explore. So it's going up there. It's going up there. Outlaw Rogue. Now this one's got a lot more room to kind of maneuver around than Assassination Rogue, which makes me a lot more interested in trying it out. When I specifically played it on the beta, I really wanted to make a Shadow Dance build with ambush work. Didn't really end up working too well. It was kind of fun, but it's not going to really be super competitive. Maybe if they retune things, there'll be more talent options for it. That one specifically seemed fun. Ambush spamming, like the last time I remember ambush being relevant was Wrath of the Lich King. So I was actually kind of excited to try that, but didn't really end up working out. I might play it at some point just because of the amount of crowd control it has, but I feel like it's not getting anything. It's getting Curse of the Dreadblades. It's kind of just another cooldown you activate. It's probably middle. It's probably somewhere where Fury is. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I usually don't really play rogue specs. I'll leave that caveat there. Rogue specs are usually the ones that I'll get to like much later in the expansion. But Outlaw is not really grabbing. You've got a lot of mobility now with Shadow Step, which is fun. It's probably middle. I think it's fair to say that it's probably middle for me in terms of excitement overall to play it. Ret Paladin, I am absolutely not interested. I'm sorry. I'm just absolutely not. This looks like Shadowlands Control C, Control V. I've seen enough and played enough Ret Paladin of the Shadowlands build that, and then the Consecration thing is like, okay, it's not enough of a selling point for me. I'm not on the Ret Paladin train this time around in terms of fun. It's gotten old at this point, and there's not enough for me really to gravitate towards it. Subtlety Rogue, this one's a tough one. It's going to be, well, depending on tuning, because right now it's a pretty weak spec, but it's got a lot of interesting, like, vanish and then healing yourself up and then going after a kill. Kind of, it's more or less the same, honestly. I feel like it's the same. Instead of shielding when you stealth, you heal. You're getting things like, you can get access to things like Gouge. It's not really enough to get me to want to play it. I had some fun on it towards the end of Shadowlands. No, I don't think it's grabbing me. And maybe, I don't know if maybe, again, the bias of it not performing that well at the moment is really kind of turning me off for it. But I feel like it's not grabbing me at the moment right now in terms of Rogue. Rogue in general is just not really kind of forcing me to want to play it too much at all. Survival Hunter. Now, this is a spec that I've seen a little bit of. Curious to see how it plays out. I feel like out of all the Hunter specs, is not the most interesting to me because I really want to try the Sentinel Owl and the shoot through pillars thing and have my teammates also shoot through the pillars. That seems really fun. I mean, you could do it as survival, but you're not really ranged. Survival is really complex spec though. And for that reason, it's got a higher skill ceiling. I feel like I've put off trying it for a while for some reason. So maybe I should put it in the middle. Am I really excited to play it? Am I really excited to try Survival Hunter? What is it about Survival Hunter that would make me want to try it? If I had to think this much about it, it's probably not that exciting. So without thinking too much, let's put it in the middle here. Probably more exciting than these ones just due to its skill ceiling. I feel like I can't think of it that it's getting anything remarkably new now off the top of my head. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments down below for survival, but it's probably middle of the pack at the moment for me in terms of fun. Unholy Death Knight, you got all of Frost's cool stuff. You're just like, yes, yoink, that's mine now. That's mine now. I'm taking all your stuff. Empowered Rune Weapon, Blinding Sleet, that's mine now. They juiced up your gargoyle build. You got a disease build. You got a pet build. You can summon a gargoyle, empower your giant army of undead ghouls. I was to say demons, you're not the wrong class. But Unholy DK looks like a lot of fun from a fantasy standpoint. Really like the wounds play style. Really hope that they hit the tuning on the talents so that you can shift between being a disease dot damage class or a necromancer style of summoning of ghouls and stuff like that. It does look like a lot of fun. I do actually want to check out this spec at some point, probably more than Feral Druid. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm really interested to try it, and if the tuning's ongoing, like this could be a diamond of a spec, definitely. Windwalker, you're getting Strike of the Windlord, super fun, just immediate damage ability that's going to get a lot of cleave. Not really a lot new to it. Windwalker has never really been a spec that I've wanted to play. Trying to think if there's anything on it right now in Dragonflight that's making me want to play. This looks so fun. Like, I gotta check it out. Teachings of the Monastery, getting like a bunch of Rising Sun kick procs and blackout kicks. Am I really excited to try Windwalker Monk? I don't know if maybe it's one of those things where like I've never really played it, so I'm like nervous or something that I'll be bad at it. and maybe that's why it's driving me away. This is like some internal psychoanalysis right now, by the way, for why I don't think it's that fun. I don't think Strike of the Windlord is enough for me in terms of new things. You're getting a bunch of defensive cooldowns you didn't have access to all simultaneously. Can't think of any new crowd control effects or anything that you're getting. I think you might be getting the honor talent. This is PvP I'm talking about, but there's an honor talent that lets you like ox kick people behind you. That could be kind of fun. I think you get that as Windwalker now. I think it's available to all monks. Maybe that could be fun to just backflip people over my head. I feel like if I think too much about it, that I'm probably not like super, maybe a bit more than survival, maybe a bit more than somewhere in here. But yeah, that's it. So S tier, Arms Story looks super fun with all the different combinations, and I love the Ren talents and the previous existing builds of arms fusing together with new and older iterations. Same thing with Enhancement, tons of different combinations to check out. Demon Hunters, this is just an insane class overall in terms of performance and all the new stuff that it got. Like maybe it's like the most hype spec other than maybe Evokers. And I'm going to be making these tier lists for deep range DPS and healer as well. If you're interested in my thoughts on what's looking like the most fun, what's grabbing my attention the most, what I gotta really get my hands on, and if that helps you make your decision, because maybe you're not making your decision based on like playing at the top of the ladder, you just want something that's going to be really fun and have room for you to grow on and expand into new things that are for the expansion, then these are going to be good tier lists for you. Unholy, Feral, Fury, Outlaw, Windwalker, Survival, Frost, Sub, Asa, and Ret at the moment for me personally. That's how I see it playing out. Like I really want to check these specs out in that order. They're looking the most fun from that top bottom. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below. Thumbs up the video. I'd greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with constant news and entertainment content related to World of Warcraft. I am trying to be an amazing resource for those reasons to help us all out so we can stay ahead of the competition and make the best decisions for ourselves. Do note this is, my opinion. Maybe you've never played Ret Paladin before, so you never got to experience it, and it could be a blast because I did say it was the most fun in one of the most fun specs in Shadowlands when I made this tier list for Shadowlands. But if you played in Shadowlands, maybe it's not gonna be that great. Same kind of deal for Assassination Rogue here. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.